Square roots and cube roots, Lesson 3 notes, example number 10. The surface area of a sphere is given by the formula surface area equals 4 pi r squared. Go ahead and underline that formula. Surface area equals 4 pi r squared. Jace has two spheres with surface areas of 144 pi and 64 pi inches squared. Help Jace determine the radii of his spheres. Radii is the plural version, or the plural word for radius. So again, he has two spheres. One has an area of 144 pi inches squared. The other has the area of 64 pi inches squared. And we are asked to find the radii, or each radius. So what I would like you to do is take the space that you're going to work in and draw a line down the middle of it. So you could draw, I drew a dotted line, you could draw a squiggly line, whatever it is you want to draw to kind of separate the space. Make sure you don't draw the line the whole way to the end so we can write our answer at the bottom. And because there's two separate problems here, we're going to do the one that has a surface area of 144 inches, or 144 pi inches squared, and then the other one of 64 pi inches squared. So we're going to do two separate problems. All right, so the first thing I did was I wrote the formula down. Surface area equals 4 pi r squared. I'm going to highlight my 144 pi. I'm going to highlight my 64 pi. Now before we do this, I want you to look at the bottom left corner here where it says that there are two steps to solve this problem. Two steps, okay? Remember, our ultimate goal is to solve for the radius. What is with the radius? Well, the radius is being squared. It is also being multiplied by 4 pi. And if you remember, when you solve equations, you do the inverse order of operations. So normally you would square first and then multiply. But in this case, since we're doing the inverse operation, we want to get rid of the multiplication and then get rid of the square. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So step 1 is to divide both sides by 4 pi. Then step 2 is to get rid of the square by taking the square root. So pause your video and write your 2 steps down. Okay, so for this first one up here, I'm going to take this 144 pi and I'm going to substitute it in for the surface area. So 144 pi equals 4 pi r squared. Step 1 is to divide both sides by 4 pi. So divide this side by 4 pi, divide this side by 4 pi. So by doing so, on the right side, the 4's cancel and the pi's cancel. On the left side, the pi's cancel. Well, what you have left to do is the 144 over 4. So I need to divide that. Pull up my calculator. Maybe. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is take 144 and divide it by 4. And I get 36. So that means that this would be what's left on after you simplify the left side of the equation, you have 36. And what's left on the right side of the equation is r squared. So now step 2 is to get rid of the square, and the inverse to squaring a number is the square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Cancel the square and the square root. Square root of 36 is 6. So 6 equals r. 6 equals r. We'll write our the final answer after we solve the other problem. So with the 144 pi, we get 6 for the radius. It'll end up being 6 inches. All right, let's do the other problem. So now I'm going to plug in 64 pi for the surface area. 64 pi equals 4 pi r squared. All right. First step is to get rid of the 4 pi. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4 pi. So that'll cancel the pi's on the left side. It'll cancel the 4 and the pi's on the right side. So the first thing I need to do is 64 divided by 4. Now on the left side, I did use the just the divide button. On this side, it's the same thing. I'm going to show you that you could also put it in as the fraction 64 over 4. And 64 over 4 simplifies to 16. So this would be 16 equals r squared. We're not done yet because we still have the square. So the inverse to squaring a number is the square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. The square and the square root will cancel out. And the square root of 16 is 4. So 4 equals r. All right, now this was a word problem, so we need to answer it using words. It says, help Jace determine the radii of his spheres. So, the radii of Jace's spheres are 6 inches and 4 inches. Again, the radii of Jace's spheres are 6 inches and 4 inches. All right, that is it for example number 10. If you have any questions, let me know.